Hi everyone, it's Sam and I'm back with another video for Lawn Fawn. Today I'm making a card with dad jokes, the new caroling mice, and snowflake stencil, fancy wavy banner dies, and the Give It a Whirl die set. I am starting my card how I usually do, which is just stamping my images with black ink, heat setting them, spritzing some water on my craft mat, and coloring with Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. I am using dark brown, mustard, and light beige for my mice. I am starting by coloring with the medium color, then using a slightly damp water brush to draw out the color to the rest of the image. While it's still damp, I go back over with just a tiny bit of that dark brown. It's very pigmented, so a little bit goes a long way. And then I pull that color out with the medium color mustard again, and then finish it off by coloring in the lightest areas of my images with light beige. And that's how all of the mice are colored. I kind of shaded one side of all the mice, but did not keep it consistent because I wasn't going for realistic. I like whimsical, and I just colored them shading wise based on where their hats fell or their clothes, and I'm okay with that because I love these little guys. You can't go wrong coloring them. I am, of course, adding pinks to their cheeks with pale orange and light carmine. I'm also using that to color their noses and their ears. I will always probably add pink cheeks to images, and zero apologies. I'm using fog gray to color all of the areas I want white on my images. So the puffs of the hats and the trim of the hats and that little shirt are all going to get a little bit of fog gray, barely any color, just enough to know that you touched it with a marker. Next, I'm coloring the benches, and I'm using mustard again and vanilla. And I'm just coloring the darkest areas with mustard, then using the vanilla marker, which is super dry. I have to replace that marker. You can tell it's dry because I'm really trying to work it to get as much color as I can. And then just a little bit of pulling it all together in the middle with a water brush. Then I use the mustard color again to color in the little pulls of the bench, and just a hint of the dark brown that we used for the mice because it wasn't dark enough for me. I'm going to be using dark brown again, carmine red, and scarlet red for this first little caroler. And then orange and bright yellow for the middle caroler. And you guessed it, yellow and light yellow for my last little caroler. Because, yep, I'm coloring them all in their own rainbow color. This card has so many rainbows coming on it. I am using my favorite mint combination, which is turquoise green, pale green, and light green. I'm starting with the darkest, then pulling it out in the middle with the light blue, and then using the light green to finally mix it all together, and it magically makes it mint, and I love it. I'm also going to use those colors for the scarf of this guy on the right, and a green little sweater with green, May green, and yellow green. And the sitting little guy is going to be blues. I'm going to be using turquoise green, light blue, and blue. And I love how it just uses, I love using the same markers with maybe one or two differences. It kind of keeps it consistent with also being a little bit of fun. Pink and pale orange is my favorite pink combination of all time. And I'm using that on this little bell ringer for his hat, and I'm sorry, his hat is the same reds as our first caroler, but for his sweater I used pink and pale orange. The same yellow for the bell, and then I'm just using the same yellows again for these two street lamps, and the same pink combination, so pink and pale orange for the bows as well as the sweater for the last little mouse. And those are my images. Okay, now we're going to make the backgrounds, and I'm using the new Snowflake stencil, and I'm actually going to be recreating this background basically 3 separate times for this card. I'm sure there's a simpler way to do this. It is unknown to me because I took the long way. And at this point, everything in my card was going swimmingly. I'm getting inky, love it. Colored rainbow mice, love it. I'm also using rainbow colors in Distress Inks with this Snowflakes stencil. I think I used abandoned coral, pink, picked raspberry, dried marigold, squeezed lemonade, twisted citron, mowed lawn, and peacock feathers for the blue. Yes, peacock feathers for the blue. And that's what the same colors I use for every time I do this. I do show you doing this 2 times. The third time, there was some struggles with this video. That's the first struggle. The first struggle is I only show this twice and not 3 times. But same exact process. Once everything was ink blended, I just took my embossing pad and smushed it through the stencil as all over multiple times to get it nice coating. Then I took my clear embossing powder, sprinkled it on, heat set it, and now we have this color permanently locked in. Love it. It's so pretty. Now's the second time I'm going to show you how I use that technique. I am using the smallest circle from the Give It a Whirl die, which I actually die cut 2 times. You need to die cut it twice. You only need to decorate 1 though. So this is going to be my 1. You don't want any images attached to this. Everything has to be 1 layer for this. So I'm showing you how I die cut the snowbank twice from the Give It a Whirl set. I'm just adding the snowbank here as a mask. I'm not going to be leaving it there because you don't, for this, the small die, you do not want any other layer of paper or it'll get caught in the mechanism. So I'm also I stamped the lamppost again on the sticky part of a Post-it note, and I'm just trimming it out with my scissors, and I'm putting it over the lamp so we can do our ink blending and everything and leave that lamp and the snow underneath it clean. So here we go again. I'm using this. It's the same colors. You can kind of see where the colors are still left on my stencil, so I kind of know where I want each color to go. Abandoned coral, picked raspberry, dried marigold, squeezed lemonade, twisted citron, mowed lawn, and peacock feathers. I use them all, and I love them all. So I'm just pushing them through with my hand. I'm not even using a tool. I'm literally just using my hand and the foam pad to ink it. Then I'm smushing through my embossing pad, taking off the mask of the snowbank and the mask of the lamp, adding the clear embossing powder, heat setting it, and you can see they're going to line up in the middle. This is the 3rd one I made. I didn't go all the way down or all the way to the top because I knew I was going to cut out a circle from the middle. But as you can see, the ink blending and the heat setting with the clear embossing powder, it really protects the colors and makes them pop once I add that dark color. And I used black soot, chipped sapphire, and blueprint sketch for the backgrounds. And it just goes over, just like glides right over the clear embossing powder. Then once I'm done ink blending, I use a completely dry paper towel to wipe off any color that might have been left on the clear the clear embossing ink, and that's done. Okay, so for the background that I mentioned I didn't color the top and the bottom, I used that to die cut the large circle from Give It a Whirl. It doesn't cut all the way through, but it does cut in the middle. Again, I'm showing you everything I cut. I die cut the folded rectangle from Post-it note and this little pull tab from 110-pound white cardstock. And again, I'm showing you the snowbank, the second snowbank I cut out. I also cut out with regular white cardstock the little arrow we're going to ink blend with some chipped sapphire and Mermaid Lagoon. And I am attaching all of my images that I want to be revealed. And these can be multiple layers. So that's where the fun is, right? I am not a 1-layer type card maker. I don't excel at that. I love layering and everything with images. So I'm just coloring in the lamppost with the same yellows I used for the other lamppost images, and then using that light blue marker to color in any of the area I overlapped with my mask. Okay, I'm using the folded over rectangle I die cut from Post-it note, putting some adhesive on both sides of it. Now, warning, I messed up on this. And I'm laughing about it now, but it was a struggle. Don't use my video as a how-to. Just look at the aesthetics of my video. What you want to do is line up the folded edge of your rectangle kind of in the middle of this slot of the small circle, okay? However, if you're doing it like me and the slit is on the right, you do not want to line this up on the bottom, okay? You want it on the top. I did not realize this at this point, but come along on this horrific journey. Look at me showing you where it should not go. It needs to go on top. It is on the bottom currently. Please put it on the top when you create this. I remove the release paper and I am going to attach the other circle that we die cut. You just want to line up the edges as closely as possible as you can together. And still, I don't realize this is wrong, guys. But I'll tell you when I do. Okay, so I'm lining it up. They're pretty lined up. And now I'm going to fold them together. This is how these two circles are connected with this little post-it triangle. Although remember, don't do it on the bottom. Do it on the top if your card is set up like mine. Okay, now I'm showing you how I am attaching the adhesive to the pull tab part. The wonky little shape is curved just like the circle. You should be able to slip it in right there, but this should have been a warning to me that it was incorrect because I could not. So I slipped it on the top thinking everything would be fine. This just in, it was not fine, guys. I had to Frankenstein my card together. I did run the large circle once everything was attached through my die cutting machine again to cut the slit through. And here is what I noticed, because I tried to slip in the circle easy peasy through the slit and I realized this is not lining up. That's super odd. Wonder why? That's right, because it's wrong. Back to this moment. The folded edge needs to be on top. I fixed it and look, it works. I took it apart. I put it on top. Here we go. It is working. Hooray for me. Guys, I apologize 100% for not having, I thought I recorded the heat embossing and the decorating of the background. I mean, the putting together of the card where I put give it a whirl mechanism on top and put those mice and the lamppost and the bench with the snowbank at the bottom. I absolutely did not hit record and I'm so sorry. I'm very, very sorry. Hi guys. Okay, so I'm just popping in to show you some part of the footage that I lost. Also, my cat Sedona, she wanted to be part of this. This is not from when I made the card. I'm just recreating it so you can see how the give it a whirl mechanism actually works. So I'm just kind of stamping similar to what the card looks like with the lamppost on the smaller circle and the carolers being revealed on the larger circle. And I'm just kind of showing you how we're going to put it together. So first I am going to take the rectangle, small, rectangle with the score line in the middle, fold it over and attach some adhesive to both sides of the folds. I tried to move my cat. She wasn't having it, so she'll move on her own in a little bit. This is where we're going to attach it correctly. To the top, we're going to attach the flat edge to the top. This is game changer. Game changer. Okay, so once that is there, we're just going to pull the release paper off of the others and line it up. And you can see that the slits and everything are all lined up with the two circles. And now we're going to add the actual pull tab. We're going to add some adhesive to the funky shape at the bottom. Remove it and attach it to the slit of the card. And now we can pull it through. We're going to pull it through our card here. And I'm just lining it up from behind, sticking the tab through and winding it around, kind of getting training the paper to get used to whirling, as it were. And you can see it's pretty easy. And next I'm just adding some foam tape around the stitched edge of our larger circle, and still works. Check, double check. And I'm just going to attach it to a piece of paper, like a card front, and show you that this is how the card comes together. Obviously it's not the one I made, and I do apologize for that, but this is how you put the Give It a Whirl mechanism together and how you attach it to your card front. And now here's my final card, and I really appreciate you guys sticking with me through this struggle. Even though we had lots of struggles, I was able to get it to work. It is a fun little caroling scene that comes to life when you give it a whirl, and I did love how it came out. Please be sure to check this card out on the Lawn Fawn blog, and thanks so much for sticking with me and all my technical difficulties and human errors. Have a great day. Bye!